Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Hollywood Highlight on Back to the Podcast. Today is March 29th, 2024, and as always, I'm your host, Chris Lawler. I'm excited to bring you another episode brimming with the latest buzz from the epicenter of showbiz. In today's lineup, we're diving into some groundbreaking announcements and juicy industry gossip. We'll talk about the highly anticipated movie adaptation of The Sims. Then we'll sift through the rumor mill surrounding Aaron Taylor Johnson's speculated yet unconfirmed casting as the next James Bond. Following that news of a complete reboot of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. And to wrap things up, we'll take a look at a couple of new trailers. So buckle up for a deep dive into the stories that have everyone talking this past week in Hollywood. Let's dive right into something that's caught my eye this week. The Sims is making its way to the big screen, and guess who's behind it? Margot Robbie's Lucky Chap production company, alongside the director from Loki, Kate Herron. So a bit of background for those who might not know, The Sims is this iconic life simulation game where you play God, managing characters through life's ups and downs. It's been around since 2000 thanks to Maxis and EA and has sold nearly 200 million copies globally. And that's not just a game, it's a cultural phenomenon. I have been playing The Sims since its inception and still find myself messing with my virtual family on Sims 4 from time to time. So what's the movie going to be like though? Like Lego Movie and Barbie, there is no narrative or main character. The sky's the limit, and they can definitely do something with existential crisis of having control or free will or something like that. Maybe the team behind Barbie's massive success can do something just as fun and creative with this 2-decade-old franchise. There you have it. The Sims, a game that's been a massive part of our lives, is getting that Hollywood treatment. And at this point, Stranger Things have been announced and surprised all of us. So all we can do is wait and see what news updates come along as production picks up momentum. All right. So moving on to a hot topic, who's going to be the next James Bond? Now, the rumor mill has been churning and Aaron Taylor Johnson's name is popping up everywhere as the front runner. But here's the kicker, nothing's official yet. That's right, despite every outlet jumping on this bandwagon, this studio hasn't confirmed a thing. And it just feels like we're all playing a giant game of telephone, where one whisper has turned into a headline. And this brings us to an interesting point about how rumors take flight in today's digital age. Every blog, tweet, and article seems to have declared Aaron Taylor Johnson as the next 007 without a shred of official word. And it makes you wonder about the media's role in shaping narratives before the facts are in. But hey, that's the world we live in. So who could really be slipping into that tux next? Well, with nothing set in stone, it's wide open. I've seen lists with everyone from Idris Elba to Richard Madden. It's like fantasy football, but for casting the world's most famous spy. And I'm curious, who do you want to see as the next Bond? Is there an underdog actor you think could take on the role, or are you Team Taylor Johnson all the way? Let's not forget, being Bond is a hefty mantle to carry. It's not just about looking good in a suit. It's about bringing that charisma, physicality, and that touch of vulnerability to one of cinema's most iconic characters, and then having to do that for a multi-picture deal over many years as well. When we do get confirmation, you can bet I'll be reporting on it. The studio does declare that it will be ready to get production started as soon as this year for the next installment of the long-running Bond franchise. So confirmation does seem likely very soon. All right, now big news on the horizon for fans of swashbuckling adventure and cursed treasure. The Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, once the jewel of Disney's crown before the days of Marvel and Star Wars, is set to embark on a brand new voyage. Jerry Bruckheimer, the force of nature behind the original series, has announced a complete reboot. That's right, we're charting a course toward new horizons with a fresh take on this beloved saga, a franchise that has amassed over $4.5 billion in global box office revenue, making it one of Disney's most lucrative properties. The helm of this new journey is in capable hands of Craig Mazin, the mastermind behind Chernobyl, and Ted Elliott, one of the original scribes of the Pirates saga. They've hinted at a weird approach to the reboot. Given that the original films were quite weird, I have no idea how to interpret that information. Now, what is the fate of Johnny Depp's iconic Captain Jack Sparrow? While the franchise is taking a new direction, direction, the likelihood of Depp returning seems to be drifting further into the fog. It's a poignant reminder that this reboot is steering away from the familiar waters, possibly leaving behind some of the faces we've grown to love. But let's not dwell on who we might miss. Instead, let's ponder the possibilities with new stories and potentially new characters on the deck. Who would you like to see lead this new pirate crew? Margot Robbie's name has been floating around, signaling that star power isn't in short supply. And what about other legends of the sea or entirely new characters? The Pirates franchise, rich in historical myths and supernatural intrigue, is ripe for exploration. All right, shifting from swashbuckling pirates to the competitive world of breakfast pastries, let's sink our teeth into the newly released trailer for Unfrosted, directed and starring comedy legend Jerry Seinfeld. Yep, you heard that right. A movie about the invention of Pop-Tarts is coming to Netflix, and if the trailer is anything to go by, it's going to be a deliciously entertaining ride. Unfrosted takes us back to 1963 Michigan, where cereal giants Kellogg's and Post are in a heated rivalry to bake up the next big thing in breakfast. The trailer gives us a peek into this absurdly high-stakes world packed with ambition, betrayal, and of course, sugar. It's clear that Seinfeld has sprinkled his signature humor all over this one, combining vibrant visuals with a satirical tone that pokes fun at the earnestness of corporate innovation wars. The cast of Unfrosted reads like a roll call of comedy's elite, boasting names such as Melissa McCarthy, Hugh Grant, Jim Gaffigan, Amy Schumer, Max Greenfield, Christian Slater, Bill Burr, Dan Levy, James Marsden, Jack McBrayer, Thomas Lennon, Bobby Moynihan, Adrian Martinez, Sarah Cooper, and Fred Armisen, and of course, so many more that I didn't even name here. What's really fascinating is Jerry Seinfeld's long-standing fascination with the Pop-Tart story. He's mentioned this project in the past, showing a genuine interest in the origin story of what he considers a marvel of modern engineering. Moving from stand-up specials and TV to directing a feature film is no small leap, and Unfrosted marks Seinfeld's directorial debut on the big screen. From the trailer, it looks like he's applying his keen observational humor to a slice of American corporate and culinary history. Unfrosted isn't just a comedy, it's a nostalgic trip to a time when the biggest battle in America was over who could invent the best new breakfast treat. And if anyone can make the invention of a toaster pastry hilarious, it's going to be Jerry Seinfeld, right? So before we wrap up today's trailer segment, there's one more preview that's absolutely worth your attention. The trailer for The Sympathizer, based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel. This series is shaping up to be a powerhouse of espionage, satire, and deep emotional storytelling. The Sympathizer takes us into the heart of the Vietnam War's final days and follows a half-French, half-Vietnamese communist spy as he navigates his complex identity and loyalties. But the story doesn't stop there. It catapults us into his life as a refugee in Los Angeles, hinting that his days of espionage are far from over. The trailer alone is a ride. There's an undeniable energy and richness in the cinematography that promises a series both visually captivating and emotionally stirring. It's not just a period piece or a spy thriller. It feels like it's going to take us on a journey through the highs and lows of a deeply conflicted character caught between worlds. And talk about star power with names like Emmy winner Sandra Oh and Academy Award winner Robert Downey Jr., who's taking on multiple roles, adding to the anticipation. With such a roster, it's clear we're in for some memorable performances. Personally, not being familiar with the book gives me a small advantage of going in with zero expectations, ready to be taken on whatever roller coaster ride The Sympathizer has in store. From the looks of it, we're in for thrilling highs and profound lows, all wrapped in a story that promises depth and complexity. And well, that's a wrap on today's Hollywood Highlight. I really want to thank you so much for tuning in and exploring this dynamic world of Hollywood with me. We've journeyed through the virtual neighborhoods of The Sims to the espionage-filled corridors of The Sympathizer. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think about The Sims movie adaptation? Are you excited to see how Margot Robbie and her team bring the game to life? Or do you have reservations about how it will translate to the big screen? The James Bond saga continues with speculation around Aaron Taylor Johnson Do you have a candidate you think would be perfect for the role, or are you all in on Taylor Johnson taking up the mantle? With the Pirates of the Caribbean gearing up for a reboot, what are your hopes for this new iteration? Are there any elements from the original series you're hoping to see return, or any fresh directions you're excited about? And finally, Unfrosted and Sympathizer trailers have dropped. Which one has piqued your interest more? The comedic genius of Seinfeld turned towards the Pop-Tart invention, or the gripping complex narrative of a spy cop between worlds? If you enjoyed today's discussion, please give us a like and subscribe. We've got new content coming your way every week, fun discussions on the podcast, and of course, diving into the latest and greatest from Tinseltown. Thanks again for joining me on Hollywood Highlight. I'm already counting down the days until we can do this all over again next week. Thanks again. Bye-bye.